Seoul is one of the fastest changing cities in the world, but somehow, a village filled with traditional Korean houses has survived here for 600 years. This place is called Bukchon. How is it possible? Today, we are walking through Bukchon to find out. Hi, I'm a Korean tour guide who works with foreign travelers. Bukchon Hanok Village. As we walk through this neighborhood, we are now in one of the most historic areas in the city. The name Bukchon literally means northern village. It was given this name because the area lies north of Cheonggyecheon Stream and Jongno, which were the main commercial and administrative centers of Seoul during the Joseon Dynasty. Bukchon is also located between Gyeongbokgung Palace and Changdeokgung Palace, two of the most important royal palaces of the Joseon Dynasty. Because of this location, the area naturally became a residential district for the Yangban, the educated elite and high-ranking government officers in the time. So, during the Joseon Dynasty, Bukchon was considered one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in the capital. However, the Bukchon we see today was not shaped only during the Joseon period. Many of Hanok houses standing here today were actually built much later, during the early 20th century in the Japanese colonial period. At the time, Seoul was undergoing major changes. Many Japanese settlers lived in the southern part of the city, especially around what is now Myeongdong and Uljiru, an area that was sometimes called Namchon or the Southern Village. While the southern area was increasingly developed for Japanese residents, a Korean developer named Jong Se-kwon began developing housing for Korean families here in Bukchon. Jong Se-kwon is often described as one of the Korea's first real estate developers. He began building and selling smaller urban Hanok houses designed for middle-class Korean families living in a modernizing city. Unlike the large aristocratic homes of the Joseon era, these houses were more compact and practical, suitable for urban life. Because of the development, many of the Hanok houses we see in Bukchon today were built in the 1920s and 1930s, so Bukchon is not simply a preserved ancient village. Instead, it reflects multiple layers of history, from the royal capital of Joseon Dynasty to the urban development of modern Seoul. After the end of the Japanese colonial period in 1945, Seoul began to grow rapidly. Many parts of the city were modernized, and new apartment complexes and commercial districts started to appear. However, Bukchon remained largely a residential neighborhood for many decades. Families continued to live in these Hanok houses, and the area was not considered a tourist destination at the time. In fact, until the late 20th century, Bukchon was simply an ordinary neighborhood where local residents lived their daily lives. But things began to change in the 1970s and 1980s. During this period, many traditional houses across Seoul were demolished and replaced by modern villas and apartment buildings. Bukchon also faced strong pressure for redevelopment. Some developers wanted to replace these old houses with new modern buildings. If that had happened, Bukchon might have disappeared like many other historic neighborhoods in Seoul. But many citizens, architects, historians, and cultural activists began to argue that traditional Hanok architecture should be preserved as part of Korea's cultural heritage. Because of those voices and preservation efforts, The city government eventually introduced building regulations and preservation policies that limited redevelopment in this area. Without these preservation efforts, Bukchon might have completely disappeared. Beginning in the 1990s and early 20s, the Seoul city government launched programs to restore and protect traditional Hanok architecture in Bukchon. Some houses were carefully restored, others were transformed into cultural spaces, galleries, museums, cafes, and guest houses. As more visitors came to experience traditional Korean architecture, Bukchon gradually became one of the most famous historic neighborhoods and tourist destinations in Seoul. Today, Bukchon represents several layers of history at once. It shows the legacy of the Joseon Dynasty, the urban development of the colonial period, and the modern effort to preserve Korean cultural heritage in the rapidly changing city. In a city that continues to grow and change as quickly as Seoul, Bukchon is a rare place where 600 years of history still survive in the middle of a modern metropolis. If you're more curious about Korean culture and history, please like and subscribe for more guides insights. Thank you. Bye.